Good Wednesday afternoon, everybody. I'm meteorologist Tim Pandages here in Houston, Texas with your tropical update. Of course, the big headline news, the big weather news has been Major Hurricane Ian that made the jump to high-end Category 4 hurricane in just a short amount of time in the early morning hours today. So what's changed since yesterday? Of course, that rapid intensification, that secondary period of rapid intensification took place, putting it currently at a high-end Cat 4. We're talking 155 mile-an-hour winds, just 2 miles an hour away from becoming a Category 5. Now, the cone has obviously narrowed. We know a landfall location. That landfall is imminent, and it could be growing signal. Growing opportunity for a secondary landfall to occur near Charleston, South Carolina on Friday. So that's after it reemerges over into the Atlantic and then comes back inland near the Carolinas. We'll talk more about that in the new forecast cone in just a second. First, that very impressive period of rapid intensification that occurred in just a few hours worth of time. So here's a look at the updates. We got hourly updates coming from the National Hurricane Center as it got closer to landfall. At 4 o'clock this morning, winds were sustained at 120, a Category 3 major hurricane. An hour later, it jumped to 140 miles per hour at 5 a.m. and then a special advisory issued 90 minutes later at 6:30, pushing it to 155 high-end Category 4 storm. The definition for rapid intensification is an increase in sustained winds of 35 miles per hour over a period of 24 hours. We did that in about 3 hours, so it's really intensifying. It's still got a short while over open warm water still that it has a period that it could continue to intensify, but that window is quickly closing. So it'll likely make landfall as that high-end Category 4 storm. It's also not outside the realm of possibility that at reanalysis after the season is over, it could get that upgrade to a Category 5. That's what happened with Hurricane Michael back in 2018 in the panhandle of Florida. That ended up post-analysis being a Category 5. But here's a satellite loop, infrared. We're looking at cloud top temperatures here. Colder the cloud tops, the stronger the convection. And you can see that white completely surrounding that core, the eye, which is about 25 nautical miles in diameter. So not an abnormally large eye, nor is it abnormally small. It's pretty average, actually, as it's building on inland towards the Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Port Charlotte area as we speak, as we record this video. It doesn't show any signs of weakening as it approaches land. Of course, once it's overland, away from its fuel source, it'll really start to break down and just rain itself out. Now, I want to zoom things out and show you what it looks like here on visible satellite, because this kind of tells a story of what helped it to intensify so rapidly earlier today. It's starting to interact with the upper level trough that's off to the north here. You can see that dipping down through the Great Lakes region. And what that is doing is helping to evacuate air aloft and give it that strewn out, that stretched out look off to the north and east. That evacuation of air aloft allows it to ventilate and intensify a lot more easily. So that's what's happening here, and that's why it's sustaining that strength right up until landfall as it looks. Here's a close-up look. Now, we've got the GHOU visible satellite that I just showed you, but when there are significant weather features, there are something called mesoscale floaters that can be directly positioned over that feature. And we have one here, and this gives us high-resolution imagery, so we're getting a snapshot of Ian from the satellites every minute. So that gives us this really kind of not choppy looking loop here. But I want to show you the visible satellite because we're looking at the eye. And if you look closely here, you can see these little spins within the eye. That's something called Meso Vortices, and these are pivoting around the eye wall, and a lot of times you'll find the strongest winds of the storm within those Meso Vortices. Also take note that as it moves, you can look straight down to the ocean surface there, and as that builds inland, it eventually will move over land, and folks will get the false sense of security that the storm is over because winds also go calm during that time and leads to the fact that the storm may be over. And the sky may even clear out, birds may be flying, winds go completely calm. Then you get the backside of the eye wall and the winds are just as strong, just in the opposite direction. Our very own morning meteorologist, Cheetah Craft, is actually flying with the hurricane hunters this morning in an aircraft in the storm as we record this video. Teal 71 is the call letters for this aircraft, U.S. Air Force, and they're making their second pass through the eye. Max winds that they're just reporting now, 74 miles per hour, but just a few minutes ago before we started recording, those winds were up and over 120, and that's in the eye wall, the feature that you're going to find the strongest of the winds. You can see that a little better here as we switch up Doppler radar. So this is a loop over the last 2 hours, and you can see that large eye where there is no rain, there's hardly any wind. It's really the outer eye wall here that you'll have the strongest of the winds, indicated by these banding features. And as I loop it as well, you'll also see periods where the green comes on in. That's lighter precipitation, also a drop in wind speed. So it's not constant winds throughout the entirety of the storm. You get these increases, these ramp ups, and these ramp downs as you get farther away from the center there. There it is over Captiva, Boca Grande, Port Charlotte. And the storm itself is moving onshore, and southeast of the center. The ocean is also moving onshore because we've got the onshore winds blowing out of the south to northeast there over the Naples area, Bonita Springs, and that's why the storm surge threat is so large and unprecedented in these areas. They've actually increased the storm surge threat to around 15 to 18 feet. I want to go back quickly and show you here on the radar imagery, because we're looking at it landfalling, and you may say, well, the eye is already moving over land. Yeah, it has. The eye wall has moved inland, but the definition for a landfalling hurricane is that the center of the eye has to move over land. That's when it's technically landfall. It has made landfall, when the center of the eye is over land. Let's look at some of the most recent wind gusts. We've lost all reporting stations with the onshore winds, likely from storm surge and the strong wind gusts. But where we are still getting reports, impressive wind gusts, Punta Gorda up to around 90 miles per hour. In fact, my producer has one of these cameras up that we're going to try to go to if it's still there. This is Port Charlotte. So as of the recording of this video, it is 1:25, and look at these winds whipping. You can see, if you look closely, we've got waves coming on in there as well. Just conditions really deteriorating significantly there. All right, let's jump back over to the wind speeds now. A lot of these winds up to the north are still coming offshore, so storm surge not a problem yet here. In fact, the water is being evacuated away from the beaches, so the beaches are being extended. Off to the south and southeast Naples area, all that wind is coming onshore, and that's pumping up the ocean into the area too. So storm surge warnings are up for the entirety of the area. We're already seeing impacts. And again, here's the updated forecast from the Hurricane Center, putting out up to 18 feet. That's about a 2-story building that can be completely inundated by the ocean building on into low-lying areas. On top of that, numerous other warnings now. Everything's been upgraded to a warning because the threat is imminent. Hurricane warnings here, all in the orange, tropical storm warnings. Notice it is extended all the way up to the South Carolina coastline because this is a large system, right? So now we're getting the wraparound feed that's coming up into Georgia and South Carolina. So storm surge even on the east coast of Florida could be a problem here as we get into tonight as the storm moves over land and we get that spreading moisture and spreading onshore flow off to the north. Rainfall will be a massive issue as well. Freshwater flooding here to the north and to the northwest of the storm track. South and southeast of there, we're dealing with storm surge, freshwater flooding off to the north. Up to 1 to 2 feet of rain is certainly a possibility there. Here's a new track. We know where it's going to make landfall, but after that it builds inland to the northeast. It's away from its fuel source. It rapidly starts to weaken. Winds are about half as strong as they were this morning. By about tomorrow morning, 70 miles per hour. A high-end tropical storm, but notice what happens here by the time we hit Thursday evening. It begins to move back into warm waters on the Atlantic side this time, turn north and then northwest, potentially as a higher end tropical storm, moving inland near Charleston, South Carolina, maybe Savannah, Georgia. Anywhere within this cone of uncertainty is a possibility right now. So rain and wind on the way for more people. Ian's impacts are certainly not done with Florida. That's the latest impact. Imminent landfall with Ian here within the next hour or so as of the recording of this video. We'll have more updates for you as we go forward and certainly follow the storm as it moves into the Carolinas. Until next time, you can find me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and also on TikTok.